What's up, guys? Welcome back to Breakout Trading. It is Tuesday, August 4th, and I'm going to be going over some trades I made today. So, today, as opposed to yesterday, was an excellent day. We're actually ending the day up here, 25.62. Really nice win. I might book it just because I'm going to go do some stuff in this afternoon, so probably won't trade anymore today unless I see something really epic. I'm taking two small losers, one on ATHE and one on COCP, 640 and 302 respectively, and making those back plus some on SRNE on a really nice setup, an A+ setup, A+ execution. Really happy with how I handled that trade. So I have screenshotted the setups here before and after, so I'll be going over those. So the first trade I made was COCP. So this was one I didn't initially have on my watch list, but it kind of popped up. It had some decent volume. You can see we're in the millions here, and it only had 32 million share float, so smaller float. This thing could definitely move if it wanted to. So basically the plan here was, this is the initial morning high here. Obviously that's a pretty important level. We found some resistance from it here, popped up, dropped down, and I actually thought about entering a position here, but I was looking at some other stuff. All of a sudden it rips up and makes a new high there at just over $3. So I'm like, okay, this thing looks pretty strong. I'll wait for a pullback back down to that initial high of day, and that also lined up really nice with VWAP, and I think that also lined up with the 38.2 Fibonacci. So had a limit order waiting there for, I think it was 50 shares. 50 shares there. Okay, so that's the setup. And then as you can see, it ended up not working out, but my stop loss was right there below VWAP. So I took a very minimal hit on that. And you can see that how good of a stop out that was, because this thing got caught underneath the trade line and it kept bouncing off that all the way down to 230. So I only lost about, what is it? So I bought my shares here. Let's go here. So I bought my COCP shares there at 279 and stopped out at 274. So just a little paper cut loss. That's why I really like having those good setups where you know exactly whether you got it or not, and if not, you can cut it. So this was one of those setups where it was either going to bounce right here and right now, or it was going to fail, and it chose to fail, and then I just stopped out. It just as easily could have found support here on VWAP, bounced up, and continued through the high. So I think that was a pretty good setup. One of my 5 setups that I trade. So I haven't gone over this yet, but this month in August, I'm only trading 5 setups, my 5 best setups. So the 2 A+ setups are TTG triangles and trade line VWAP crossovers. And the 3 B setups are bull flags, ascending triangles, and SR flips. So those 5 only. If I take any sort of trade outside of those, which is what I did yesterday, then that's totally terrible execution, and I'm probably going to lose money. So only sticking with those 5 setups. This was one of them, trade line VWAP crossover. So that one was a loser. And then ATHE, this one was an SR flip setup. So we have the initial high here, massive green volume coming in here. Huge pump all the way from 340 all the way up to 515 and change on just massive green bars. So I was thinking this thing would have continuation for sure. I was patient, didn't chase it all on the way up, even though that kind of would have worked, but that's not how I trade. I waited for this initial high of day, lined up once again with VWAP, same as the last trade there. What was it? And COCP. Got in here for got in on ATG for just 25 shares, stopping out about 20 cents down. So yeah, just here. Yeah, so got in there, hoping for the bounce off VWAP, but this thing was just too heavy, and it ended up collapsing right through VWAP. Like, look at this move. Look at the volume. Green on one side, and then just completely red on the other side. So that's a pretty terrible continuation there. on ATHE. You can see it's even curling up right now, kind of making another trade line view up cross. But if I flip over to this view, you can see that even still it's kind of like, you know, not really doing anything spectacular. It's kind of just hesitating on that crossover. So this might be a stock to stay away from. It obviously does not have much strength in it today. So yeah, stopped out there, and I think that was like a $6 loss or something. So took a bit more of a hit there, but I really thought that that was a really good setup. Like with all this green volume, I thought we'd have a huge like drop and then a huge like rip up, but apparently not. You can see how much like everyone just started selling right as soon as this thing dropped. Like look at that, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 red 3-minute candles in a row. Yeah, so pump and dump right here, pretty classic. And I don't think I'm going to touch it again here. It doesn't seem like it wants to really move today. And then the best trade possibly of my career. This might what was my other best trade? Oh my god, was that on SRNE? No way. I had a really good trade. What day was it? Okay, wait, let me find this out for a second. No, not there. It was in June. I had a really good trade. Sava it was. Sava. So, just let me find it. Yeah, Sava. So, this was one of the best trades I've ever made. It was on June 3rd, and it was, I think, the biggest single P&L one I ever had. I think I made like 40 bucks. So entered in here. It's a TTG triangle, same setup as the one I just traded. So initial high here, price breaks above, consolidates, and then breaks out and rips. And on this one, I even bought on the retest here of a pre-market high and wrote it up a second time, which I could have done on this trade today, but I didn't. So it rivals this one, might even be better than that one. So might be my best trade of all time. The execution on this guy was pristine, so I won't hesitate any longer. It was SRNE on a beautiful TTG triangle. So here we go. We got our initial high here, and this one was a gapper too. It was, oh no, it wasn't a gapper. It was just a really good setup on the daily chart. Over $10, it had tons of room to run. So if you look here, one sec here. Alright, so if you can see this on the daily chart for SRNE, there is this $10 level. And you can see we have resistance, 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 and we finally broke through, and we pretty much have room all the way up to $14. So really, really nice setup on the daily. And that's basically what I was paying attention to. It was not a gapper. I thought it was a gapper for a second, but it wasn't. So that's what I was paying attention to. And it does have a much higher float. It was 168 million. So usually I trade the smaller floats, but maybe I'll start trading bigger floats because this one worked out really well. Anyways, so yeah, initial morning high here that created the support line for the triangle. And then we had a high up here at 11:30, came down. I bought my first tier there, second tier here, third tier on the breakout. You can see we didn't really have that breakout volume right away, but I was pretty certain this one was going to work. But once again, should have waited for that breakout volume to add the last tier. And stop loss there right underneath VWAP. You can see that I was in with 100 shares at this point. I think that this was 25, so I was in with 50, and then this one was another 50 add if I am not mistaken. Yeah, really, really nice. So that's the initial kind of setup. And then we have the breakout volume coming in, which is really nice. You can see that I entered here and I took off 25% there right in front of the high. That's the first tier off. Took off another, I think, I can't remember exactly how much, just taking little bits off, usually 25% of the position. Took some more off there and moved my stop loss up to break even. So I was in the driver's seat of this trade, and I had this 11:30 area that I could play around with because that should be support. So now you can see we're really extending now. So that was the first take profit, second take profit, and I actually saw it broke through here, if you can see that, through that 1130 support area, and then I got a little nervous, so I took off a little bit more on the bounce, and then it actually had continuation up, and I sold all the way up here at 1160, and I think that that was my final take piece right here. Yeah, right here is 1160 was the final one, and you can see we have really nice volume coming in with the trade line holding support and this thing continuing up from the triangle right here. And I guess I could have wrote it a little bit more up to that whole number $12 because that's where it kind of topped out, but I am pretty damn happy with this trade. It's one of the best ones I've ever done. I was so mentally focused on this. I didn't rush it. I really have fixed that issue of me selling too early. I think that this is an excellent example of me scaling out of something into front side strength and into a big huge volume squeeze like this. You can see that it's a perfect little parabola, and then it kind of has the whitewash chop after. So really happy with that. I think this is the same picture. Yeah guys, so that's it. Just two losers, one winner. The winner is making up for the losers. That's how it should be. Yeah, so that's probably going to be it. I don't think I'm going to trade much more. As you can see, I was just mentioning that ATHE, how it didn't really look too good, and now it is breaking right below that $4 level, and VWAP here. So second time this thing has had a nice run up and then just dumped. So as you can see, it's pretty good that I stayed away from that. So that's going to be it today. We haven't made back the $100 loss from yesterday, but we made back $25 of it today, and it doesn't even matter because all I care about is my execution. My execution was perfect today, and that's all that matters. Anyways, guys, see you on Wednesday. Adios.